Push, we're back, Squeeze the Neck podcast, and we're back, GB Top Team. Ain't every day we get a UFC Legend on, is it, mate? So, Brad Pickett, thank you very much for doing this, mate. So, as I say, UFC Legend, for anyone who doesn't know, switch off now because this ain't for you. But I've seen you fight live at the O2 and stuff, mate, so this is quite a big deal for me and whatnot. But, like, bearing on where we are time-wise and stuff, like, back in the day when you started your MMA career, I'm assuming there weren't too many MMA gyms and stuff to go to. So, how did that start off, mate?
It seems like kind of places where obviously now it's grown so much around the world and especially in this country alone. But back in the day, it was where people, well, early MMA was a karate guy versus a judo guy, a taekwondo guy versus a wrestler, sumo versus BJJ. So there's all these different disciplines, and then obviously they all cross-train and get better. And then you have these MMA fighters. But it's the same back in those days. It's like, I want to learn my striking, you go boxing. You do some wrestling, let's go wrestling. You went to individual gyms to learn your individual disciplines, which then you put them together as such. But for me now, like I always say now, the sport's developed so much over these years. There's MMA striking, there's MMA grappling, there's MMA wrestling, there's parts of wrestling transfer 100%, but some things don't. Some things transfer from grappling, some things don't. Some things transfer from striking, some things don't. So there is a now thing. MMA is its own sport, and there's a certain style kind of thing that kind of like, or not just style, rules that you try to apply, what you should and shouldn't do that works for MMA, which wouldn't work in other disciplines.
Makes sense. And like, you know, like obviously back in the day, like you'd have a karate guy versus a boxer, etc., etc. Is there some, it might sound like a bit of a stupid question, but is there some benefit to sort of like being your own self in a way, in terms of like you come from, let's just as an example, boxing, and you sort of put pieces together on top of that versus being too general and sort of not being very good at everything?
It's quite good if you have some kind of base, but
Right.
it also can be bad.
Yeah.
You know, like if you're coming in and sometimes you have to correct certain things. Like in boxing, you're standing quite sideways on. You're gonna get leg kicked to death, you know, but you can't do that. You can't defend takedowns as easily, so that sort of stuff. So it's like, if you had to adapt it. So sometimes it would be easy if you do come in with a clean slate, you know, it is. But if you have years of boxing experience, of course that's going to help to a certain degree. You don't have to learn how to throw a jab. You've already got that sort of thing. Now you just mold on the other things. So it does help out sometimes that you got a grappling background or you've got a wrestling background. Same thing. Some things will apply, but then it doesn't mean you're going to be. I said many times, I don't have a wrestling background, but I out-wrestled many wrestlers within MMA because it is different. You know, it's so different stance. Like from wrestling, you're quite low down, and in striking, you're standing quite high up. In striking, you got where your hands have got to be to protect your face. Up here, where's your hands got to be to defend takedowns? Down here, so you can't be both in the same time. So if you're good at throwing punches to go and change the level to take down, that's where. For me, so MMA wrestling is completely different, you know.
Yeah.
That's why. That's why. Also, one thing about the sport which I really like, and that's where you see such a crazy development over years, is the limited rule set. Where if you have something like karate, a martial art that's been around for years, it's the same thing. Because the rule set don't allow you to do anything different. You teach this one kata, then it's passed down, and so on and so forth. When you have a limited rule set, people go, yeah, you have the, like I say, the freedom to express yourself. Like Anthony Pettis running, jumping off a cage and kicking someone in the head. Cool, that works, brilliant. Or you try something, oh, that don't work. I got submitted 5 times, I tried this, you know. So you get to experience and try new things. This is why, in my eyes, gi grappling has quite a lot of rule set. The IGBJF rule set. There's quite, can't do this, can't do that. Where you have no gi grappling, the rule set's not as much. And you see a lot of people inventing new stuff, new chokes here and there. The buggy choke, you know, like, you know, things like, you know, what the hell was a buggy choke? You know, you see, like, it's developing all the time. There's so many new submissions now. Because of like the no gi sort of scene. You know?
And it's even simple things, innit? I start, not recently, but like over the years, I've done bits and pieces of grappling with like the MMA gloves on.
Yeah.
And that changes the game massively, doesn't it?
Massively, exactly. Like, I'm not now just holding your two wrists with my both hands. I have to control your posture, mate.
Right.
If I just hold your two wrists, you're just gonna roll over and elbow me in the face. I don't want that, so I'm gonna have to control your posture. So there is, like I say, there's things that translate and there's things that don't. You know?
Yeah, and body types, all that. We could go on for days. But like, what was your background? How did you get into it?
My main thing growing up, I was a football player. I love sports, all sports. I was involved in a lot of team sports, football, cricket, basketball, rugby. They're my sports I used to play growing up. I got into boxing just to kind of keep fit, and also it's a kind of good thing to have if you know how to look after yourself. People leave you alone by default, kind of thing. You know, no one walks into a room and goes, "Let me pick on the guy who can fight." Let me pick on. No, people leave you alone. And then also I use that as a kind of more of a vigilante sort of, well, yo, leave that guy alone. And they're like, what you, okay, I will.
Oh, you was one of them, yeah, I got you. Yeah.
I was more of a vigilante in that aspect. So I kind of like the respect a boxer would get.
Yeah.
Oh, this guy can fight. And when people know you can fight, they're like, oh, how's it going to make you right? Yeah, so I kind of like the respect that boxing gave me. Yeah, so I done boxing, but my main sport was football. I had a bad football injury in my knee. For the level I was playing at, I had to go down a few levels and kind of thing. And then I tried to take up boxing again. Found it a bit same old kind of thing. I had like 11 amateur fights, so I was 10-1. And I wasn't really a boxer. I was kind of a brawler, I was just tough. So I was like knocking people out with like headgear and 10-ounce gloves, you know. Try to get back into boxing, kind of find it a bit boring. And someone goes to me, "Oh, why don't you try out MMA?" I'm like, "What are you on about?" One of my old friends, my guy, Del Edwards, he lived on my estate in East London, and he goes, "Why don't you try and get into do this? I'll go to a place called Elite Fighting Systems in Elephant Castle. Why don't you go there and try that?" I'm like, "All right, I'll give it a go." I watched the old UFCs like Hoist Gracie, and I thought, this is quite cool, you know. Be quite nice. Went there, and I remember being kind of like a proud 26-year-old man, thinking, yeah, I'm quite, I can box, right? I'm quite, you know, quite tough. And just being absolutely manhandled by a young kid at the time. He was 16. His name was Mark Smith. You actually ended up finding his name was Mark the Babyface Smith, right? And he just manhandled me, abused me, right? And I found that quite humbling. And like, and me as a person, like I say, I was always very competitive. Like, I mean, you play chess, I would want to beat you. I was very competitive. I'll put it down to having an older brother. We competed in everything, so I was very competitive. And I didn't like people beating me up or being better than me. So I'm like, not in a bad way. I'll be like, boom, okay, cool. I need to learn this because I can't have people out there be able to do this to me. I need to learn this for my own life benefit, you know, like I need to, you know, like, yeah, I can't have this happen. And then that's made me fall in love with it. And then I just started going. And it wasn't even a sport back then, like, for my weight class. UFC was around, but UFC was like 170, welterweight and above. And then they brought in the lightweights. Never my weight class. I walked around like, well, back then I was probably walking around about 64 kilos. You know?
Right, okay.
I wasn't a big guy at all. So then I did get into fighting, but it was a bit it was fun. I fought a featherweight kind of thing. It's just cool. It's like, I find it just fun, you know.
Because I'm assuming it wasn't a career option back then. Like, he's touching on, right? It was just a laugh. It was just having a fight.
It's just like have a fight. I used to earn not bad money sometimes because I sold a lot of tickets.
Right.
So like, yeah, but it was just cool, you know. And then it got to the stage where, oh, hey up. There's some good shows in the world now because the UFC was 55 and above, lightweight and above.
When are we talking? You was 26, so what sort of time in years are we talking?
3 years time, I started
which is a bit of a progression, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
So I progressed pretty quickly because I had to.
Right, yeah.
I had to. I was 26. So I moved, got to number one in England pretty quickly. Then I was number one in Europe kind of thing. You know, I'll become the Cage Rage British champion. You know, like, and I was like, that was at featherweight, and I was a small featherweight. I wasn't big at all. Then I remember going out to American Top Team, and like, I need to go out there and learn how to wrestle a little bit, and I remember going out there, and when they introduced me to people, the first person I met was Mike Brown, right? And he was working the reception at the at American Top Team, and I was like, "All right, Mike, how's it going?" I was staying with him. I had to go stay with him in his house and stuff like that. He was in like a fighter dorm, okay, cool, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, what weight do you fight?" He goes, 145, and I went, what's wrong? I didn't know what 145 was.
Right, because pounds and kilos, yeah.
I'm like, what's that? He goes, featherweight. I went, what, 66 kilos? He goes, yeah. And I'm like, no way, mate. What are you on about? He goes, yeah. I'm like, I fight 66 kilos. But I walked around at 66 kilos. Right. Of course, you know, this guy was massive.
How big is it? What's he sort of walking around at back then?
No, he's smaller now than he was when he was fighting. But he was walking around like 170.
Yeah,
you know, like,
proper,
He was just a big
proper
dude.
cut, yeah.
And like chiseled, you know, like, mate. So then also, that made me feel like, okay, cool. I'm not fighting at that weight class. But being number one in Europe at featherweight, there was no point in me going down to a weight class to fight people at bantamweight, because why?
Right.
I'm the best at featherweight. So I stayed at featherweight. I became really good friends with Mike Brown. I went back and forth to American Top Team a lot to go train, get my wrestling up there, get better. So I used to like be in England, train in England, a place called Team Time. Then I'd get ready for a fight, and then like 8 weeks before a fight, I'll go to America, train there for a camp, then come back and fight. I used to work here as well. I used to work in I become a labourer actually, just to have a job where I could come and go when I please. So obviously I weren't earning the money that you would need. So I was just doing what I can, working, fighting, and that kind of thing. Just trying to make things work.
I'm sorry to cut you off there, but was there an amateur scene back then, or was it just straight to pro?
Not really. Yeah, not really. It wasn't big.
Right.
Yeah, I went straight pro.
Yeah.
You know, I was living on the floor in my brother's flat in East London. You know, like whatever. Weren't earning much money at all. Working where I can, whatever I earned, put back into myself to go out to American Top Team and stuff like that. Invested in myself the whole time. Again, still would know this is be a career path for me, but it was just fun. I enjoyed it. It was so much better than working at a desk or working whatever. So I remember knowing about the WEC. So the best in the world in my weight class, that's a weight, was either in Japan and stuff like that, or in America, there's a place called the WEC, which is owned by Zuffa, who owned the UFC, but it's for the smaller weight classes. So it's for 55 lightweight and below, and UFC was lightweight and above. So there was a lot of people in there, and then Mike Brown at the time was he got into WC, and then he had a couple of fights. He fought Jeff Curran and won that. Then he fought Uriah Faber, beat Uriah Faber, become the featherweight champion in WC. I was there for that, and I was cornering him and helping him out. We were like best pals. So that I was there around. I always speaking to Shelby Ayton, and they were like, "Wait, when are you gonna pick it on there?" When, I was yeah, we get some here. But back in those days, it was quite hard to sign a European fighter because of the visa issues. It was it'll cost them a lot of money to get the visa, where it's so much easier for them to sign a Brazilian or an American fighter. So to sign someone for me, nowadays it's not as bad, but back then it was a lot more expensive. But then they committed. I remember the first time they offered me a fight, they asked me to fight a guy called Demarcio Page on 2 weeks' notice. And I was like, yep, cool, no worries, fine. I'll do it. Didn't want to take a fight short ways, no, but yeah, I'll take the opportunity. That fight didn't materialize because then the visa, they worked out they couldn't get me a visa in time, but because I said yes, I'll take that fight to help them out, they're like, cool, we'll get them in. So then they got me and they get me a visa. So then I signed to the WEC. I was super happy with that because that's the best in the world where my weight class would fight.
That was essentially the UFC at the time for your weight, wasn't it?
It was the best in the world.
Yeah.
The best people in the world And my weight class fought in the WC, and that's where you would go. Then I made my WC debut. It was in Las Vegas, and that was a cool thing. For me, when I got to fight, I wanted to travel and fight. You want to fight in Vegas, don't you? So my WC debut was in Vegas. It was just so cool going there, traveling. And then I remember winning my fight with a rare submission, like a proven necktie. I won 10 grand, and that was crazy for me. I remember that fight as well, because like back then they done submission of the night, fight of the night, knockout of the night, right? They didn't do performances. It was just like submission. So sometimes you can have a real crappy submission, like a rear naked choke, and there's no other submissions on the card. You're gonna get it by default, right?
Yeah.
So that's the way it was like then. So I remember me getting a submission, quite a rare submission, proving necktie, and I was like, I'm in good shot to get like the bonus here, which is 10 grand. I was thinking I'm gonna finals on 2 and 2, so 10 grand was quite a lot of money.
Yeah, major, right?
Especially when I'm not earning a lot of money. Whatever I earn, I put back into myself. So 10 grand, I'm like, oh man, that's crazy, right? So the fights keep going, and I'm like, fight goes, decision, fight goes, knockout, fight, decision. I'm like, man, I'm getting close to it. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm cage fighter, I'm like getting nervous. I'm thinking, please. And there was no other submission on the card. And they got to the main event. It was Radcliffe versus Donald Cowboy Cerrone, right? And I remember watching this fight, right? And they had some amazing scrambles on the floor. I remember at one point, Donald Cerrone had him in a body triangle on his back, trying to rear naked choke him, but then reaching down, grabbing his leg, nearly knee barring him from a back. He was like, I'm like, oh my God. And I'm not going to lie, I felt nauseous. I actually felt like I was going to throw up, because how nervous I was. He actually ended up submitting Radcliffe as well. There was a rear naked choke.
But a basic one,
A rear naked choke, but I'm thinking, but now there's competition. I'm like, oh my God. I hate a proven necktie, but because it was such a crazy fight he did, and he got a rear naked choke, I'm like, I don't know. And then I was nervous. Then my band goes, boom, don't worry, you got it. He went and spoke to Sean Shelby, and he goes, Shelby says, you got it. I'm like, but it was just a relief. You know? That was a wild experience in my first WC fight. And then obviously, I fought 3 other times in WC. I fought in the last ever WC event, which was WC 53. That's where Pettis done the Showtime kick against Ben Henderson. That's a fantastic card. I fought a guy called Ivan Menjivar. That was a really good fight for me. I enjoyed that fight. And then we just moved into the UFC. So for me, it was like, everyone goes, what's the difference? Because people, when I'm fighting before, will go, oh, why don't you fight in the UFC? And I'm like, I kind of do fight in the UFC. I fight for the WC, which is owned by Zuffa, right? But it's not. It's all the best guys in the world. So I had to explain that every time. And I'm like, why don't you fight in the UFC? And I'm like, well, I kind of do fight in the UFC, but not the UFC. It's the WC, which is and now I go, I fight in the UFC.
Yeah.
It's so much easier for me to go, guys, I fight in the UFC, fine, because I find the same people. So basically, just picked up the same weight classes and moved them into the UFC.
Yeah,
so
right.
There's no difference.
They made the UFC champions instantly, didn't they?
Yeah. I mean, just moved it straight over. It's like I was fighting the same people. Didn't make no difference, right? So like, the only thing that made difference was a bit more recognition. More people are watching you. Even though I honestly say the best time of my life was the WC.
Really?
It was so cool. Just the blue cage. The fights were amazing. It was like I just knew everyone. It was like a bit of a family kind of thing. Like Reed Harris was a guy who owned WC. He still works. He works for the UFC. He's in the UFC. I see him there every time I go to an event. It's good to see him. But he's there. Sean Shelby was the matchmaker for the WC. Now he's the matchmaker in the UFC. It was him and Joe Silva. Now obviously Joe Silva now Mick Maynard. But that changed. But yeah, it was cool. So. Yeah, they were good memories.
That's cool, man. And what was it like when you were in the WEC? Was there any idea that it was going to be UFC one day, or did you just sort of think that it was always going to be like this?
No, I had no idea it was going to be. And then there was talks, because that's what it was. Dana's the man that makes the decisions, and everyone would rave on about the WC, like, oh, watch this event. Next time, everyone the viewing figures of the WC got quite high, for not the casuals. The casuals are like, oh yeah, UFC. What's the WC? What?
I trained UFC, used to be the thing back in the day,
I trained
right?
tap out fighting. I got one of my tap out
Yeah.
t-shirts. Right. So like, they didn't really know about the WC, but anyone, all like the people in the know, the fighters, other fighters, coaches, the hardcore fans, all the press knew about the WC, knew how good those weight classes was. And then you see it to this day when they move him over. People like Jose Aldo, Uriah Faber, Dominic Cruz, Anthony Pettis, Donald Cerrone, all these people move. Mike Brown, myself, Demetrius Johnson, all these people from the WC moved to the UFC. So you see how much star power was in those weight classes.
Yeah, well, it was a big thing back in the day because it was hard to watch it in England, right?
Yeah,
like
very
that
hard,
was
yeah.
it was tough to get it on
Yeah.
TV. Like it wasn't on TV or
It was
anything.
on Spike TV.
Right, so you'd have to really, someone have to send you a link and all that
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
shit,
yeah,
wouldn't they?
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It was hard, but they was always, like you said, the blue cage or the blue floor rather. That
Yeah.
was always like iconic, wasn't it? Do you know what I mean? Like people used to look at
the
it.
blue gloves.
Yeah, that's right, of course. Yeah, and you beat. Is that where you fought Demetrius Johnson in WEC?
I fought Demetrius Johnson in WC, but the weird one about our fight, I fought him on a Sacramento card, right? So I explained this a few times. You see on our gloves, there's nothing on our gloves. There's no WC. It's just blue gloves.
Okay.
On the cage, there's no WC.
Really? Okay.
Because WC had a TV deal with Spike, so all their events had to be on Spike TV, right? But they wanted to do a pay-per-view event, Uriah Faber versus Jose Aldo. So they've done the event, used the fighters, but they couldn't promote it as a WC. It was weird.
It's weird.
It was weird, but everyone thought it was WC, but it wasn't. There's a blue cage, everything. But you see, I got my gloves at home. There's no WC on the gloves. Yeah. So it was. What show is that? There's one here. So
Benavidez versus Cruz, bantamweight title, WEC. I'm not sure. It doesn't say where it is, does it?
I think that was my.
That was it.
I fought Scott Jorgensen on that card.
Another UFC name, isn't it? There's a name from back in the day, yeah.
Benavidez.
Of course, Benavidez,
he
yeah,
was a great
mad
fighter,
name,
yeah.
yeah. He's retired now, right?
He's retired,
But
yeah,
a few years ago.
yeah,
But
yeah.
like, from going from or let's talk about the Demetrius Johnson one before I jump ahead too much. Like, for anyone who doesn't know, one of arguably the greatest pound for pound fighters of all time, right? Like, what was he like at the time? Was he sort of on the rise? Was it known he was special?
I didn't know him too much. There was a lot of hype around him. He was like Matt Hume's prodigy sort of thing. He was 14 at the time, and I was like 19 and 3. I had a great record, you know.
That is a great record as well,
I was 19 and 3 when I fought him, I think. I was like, I'm going to beat this kid.
Yeah, simple as that, yeah.
Look at the size of him. You know, what are you on about? Yeah, so, and I beat him quite comfortably in my eyes.
Yeah.
You know, he still shows the traits he has today. He was quick. He had great footwork. But how you beat? How do you beat speed? You beat it with timing. I timed him very well. Every time he came in blasted, boom, double legged him. Right. So my timing was on point that night. And then how do you stop someone being so quick? You lay on them. You know? 1 second.
Oh, we're all right. Got attacked by a dog, haven't we?
Come on then, buddy.
Hey, here he comes.
Come on. So I've been away for too long. She's like, where is
Mrs.
he?
Daddy,
Where
yeah,
is
okay,
he?
yeah.
Come on. Sure. Yeah. So, when I beat him, for me it was just another day in the office. You know,
Right. Okay.
I beat like a young kid on the rise, whatever. But I didn't care about him. I was on my own path. You know.
And was this a bantamweight? This one?
This was a bantamweight, and also then I had the size advantage.
Right.
Yes, eventually I did go down to flyweight to try and fight him again, to try and win a belt kind of thing. But the weight class didn't suit me because people just would run away. It wasn't fun, you know.
What was that like getting to flyweight for you?
Tough.
Was that tough?
Tough.
Yeah. Because you're a thick set guy and you're like getting to that weight's got to
I'm
be
like
a rough.
SpongeBob SquarePants, you know. Like it was hard to, but for me, like in this sport, you always have to be motivated. You have to find something to motivate you. For me, I was always competition driven, so I always wanted to be number one in the world, right? So I was getting there. I remember I've had quite a few title eliminator fights. One, Scott Jorgensen, when I fought him, if the winner of that got a title shot, he got a title shot. Then I fought a guy called Henan Barral. He beat me, he got a title shot. Then I won a few more fights, then came back, fought a guy called Eddie Wineland. For him, he beat me, he got a title shot. And then Michael McDonald was another one. So I fought so many people and I was there on the cusp. And they got to say, after Michael McDonald, I'm going to go down a weight class and try and rekindle a fight with Demetrius Johnson and try and be number one in the world because I was driven.
Was he already champion at this point, I take it? Yeah.
Yeah, after Bantamweight, when he went down to flyweight, he just was on a tear. Yeah. And that's when like he stopped really rose. So I'm like, I'm going to go down to flyweight and try and fight him again.
Yeah.
And I was saying, to me, it wasn't easy, but I was motivated. There's a reason why. So when my why in the morning is to get up was there, I'll get up. I get up and train. I do what I need to do. Was it easy? No. But I was motivated. And then I found out when I went for that weight class, I won my debut at a flyweight, and then I fought Ian McCall, and I just found that they would just run away,
Right.
And I found it very. I always said this: at that weight class, if you lock me and them in a cage, with no time limit, I'd win.
Yeah, you'll get them eventually.
But I'll get them. But at the moment, there's running, hitting, bombing, running in it. And don't get me wrong, of course, I'm not being bitter, and that's what you would do, is being smart.
Yeah.
You don't just want to stand there and do rock'em sock'em robots with someone like myself. But I wanted to.
Right, yeah.
Of
course,
but then, so when I lost a split decision against a guy called Chico Kumis, which I still to this day believe I won that fight, and he was running away the whole time. It wasn't fun. I'm like, come on, man, fight me, fight. And then I lost that by a split decision. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to fight for a title now. I just lost the split against Chico Kumus. Who's that? Right? No one cares. Fine, I'll go back up a weight class.
Yeah.
So that's when I went back up a weight class. It was more of a job, for me.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, and then I lost a little bit then because it was like my why had gone.
Yeah. And that's time to stop, isn't it, really?
Yeah, that's what I mean. So I had a few more fights. And I mean, my first fight was against a guy called Thomas Almeida. Then I fought Francisco Rivera, beat him. I was close to retiring after that if I lost. But I beat him. Then I fought Yuri Alcantara, got beat by him. Then I made my decision, I'm done. And then in between me saying when I was done, I got offered to fight Uriah Faber. I'm like, cool, I'll fight Uriah Faber, cool, no worries. For him, then my last fight was against Chito Vera, and I already made up my mind I was done.
Yeah. But you've literally, if you look at your record, you've literally fought everyone there is to fight, basically.
I mean, at one point, I got it on my phone. I got a picture of the rankings where I was ranked number 5 in the world.
Yeah.
And out of the top 10, I fought 7 of them.
Yeah, that's mental, that, isn't it? Yeah, because you mentioned some fights a while back about the Michael McDonald. What happened to him? Because he was a big noise, wasn't he? He just seemed to drop off the radar.
He was a churchgoer,
right?
Yeah, just a family man. Just wanted to.
Just found a different life, yeah.
Yeah, didn't want to fight.
Yeah, because I believe when he got in the UFC, he was like 20 or 21, right? And he was like knocking people out, and he was like a big noise. Yeah,
tough. Yeah,
and suddenly it just seemed like he disappeared. It was a stranger. Maybe he had injury or something. I don't know. But
Mayday, his nickname was it? Michael Mayday McDonald.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, no, he was decent. Yeah, I remember him leaving the UFC for a period of time, and then when he came back, he actually signed for Bellator. Had one fight in Bellator, and then I feel like he just didn't want to do it.
Too tough a sport in it to be in if you don't want to.
He don't. Yeah, exactly. He's like, this is a waste of money. He was like a bit of a country guy.
Yeah.
So he didn't care about money. That's why some people so driven. Some people so driven by money, and some people were driven by competition. Some people just he didn't care about fighting that much. So he's like, I'll put it down. Don't worry.
And the other fight on that as well, you said Henan Barao. Like, I remember watching it as it happened. I think it was at Wembley Arena, right?
No, that one was in Birmingham.
I was in Birmingham. I watched it on TV anyway. But he was. I think he fought Michael McDonald actually at Wembley, didn't he? I think I'm getting all that mixed up.
He fought Michael McDonald
at Wembley Arena. That's right. Yeah. But anyway, that fight, I remember watching it on TV at the time, and that was like, one of them fights that sticks in your mind as one of the like most exciting fights you've seen as it's happening. You and Henan Barao. It was like mental fight.
Cause I remember like Dana White got off his feet. And it was going crazy. It only was one round.
Yeah.
I got a fight night bonus there, so like it was quite a big one. So like this is back then when it had no caps, and it was like 70 grand for a fight a night.
Yeah, right.
So imagine me being in the UFC, right? No, sorry, in WC. I was good. So like 4 fights in WC, I hit 3 bonuses, but the bonuses back there were 10 grand. I ain't complaining.
No,
10 grand.
It's a big difference from
then
70.
I went to UFC. My first fight in UFC. I hit a bonus, it was 70 grand. I was on 8 and 8 at the time, so I was at 8,000 to show, 8,000 to win, and my bonus was 70 grand.
It's more than today, and you were going back like 15 years.
Yeah, exactly. It was more today because they had no cap. They just chose what they wanted to do.
Right.
So that was that, and then I remember take the money back. If I'd rather have the win, I'd rather win than you have that money. I didn't care about money. Like for me, money's important. Don't get me wrong, but I've never been money oriented to where it drives me.
Right.
I'm not driven by money. Like say right now, something. Oh, do you want to fight Demetrius Johnson again? Right? Yep. I do it because of motivation or something like that, right?
Yeah, right.
Well, maybe not now. I'm too old. Like, you can't be asked. But I have to be motivated. Yeah. If you go here, Brad, I'll give you £1 million to make flyweight. I'll be like, yep, okay, cool. £1 million, 100%. After 2 weeks, I'm like, I don't give a fuck.
Right.
I don't care about money that much.
Because you don't really care, yeah.
No, I don't care about money that much. Well, do I want £1 million? 100%. The only way I could possibly do it is if I'm motivated by thinking about my family. What that £1 million could do for my family, that then would motivate me. Not the £1 million itself. What it could do for my family would motivate me. Not the money. You know?
Yeah, I got you. And would you weigh like nowadays? Because you still look like you can fight now. Like, I don't know how you feel, but
I weigh about fucking heavy, so about 77 kilos.
Oh yeah. But like, what the point I mean is like, it's an in shape 77, isn't it? It's not like some people retire and they look like Mr. Blobby.
Well, class square as a shape.
Squares a shape, circles a shape, and all.
Yeah. I'm a square.
Yeah.
The people call me SpongeBob SquarePants. But I stay active. I'm like Ashley. We have coaching as well. We're very active coaches. You know, like to get involved a little bit here and there. But it is hard for me. My body is broken quite a lot.
Is that right? Yeah.
But then my ego is not. So like sometimes I'm like, let me have a feel. My cardio is gone though. So
do you still train though? You still jump in like sparring and things?
Every now and again. No, I would never do. I haven't done full sparring for a long time, but I'll do like some wall wrestling, or I'll do some like grappling on. I'll do certain stuff. But I wouldn't do. I'll even do some boxing sparring.
Yeah.
Fine. Yeah. For me, boxing sparring is pretty easy. You know.
Is that right? Oh, we heard that on here. Boxing's easy. There you go.
No, it is.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. After I'd done MMA, I had a bare knuckle boxing match. You know?
Yeah, I was gonna say that. Yeah, right.
Because for me, obviously, when I started fighting. People said, my mum said, I got it from my granddad. He was a bare knuckle boxer back in the day. He died when I was 4, so I didn't know him. But I remember looking at pictures of him, and he used to wear a true behind bracelets. So that's why I had that from my career. So I just thought, hey, it'd be quite good.
Is that the famous pose as well? Is that where it all connected?
All connected from old bare knuckle boxing, the old Greenwich Rules sort of thing. So like. He used to work as a roofer during the day, and at night time he used to do bare knuckle boxing just to earn a bit of extra money for the family.
Wow.
So like, so my mum said, "Oh, you got it from my granddad." I'm like, "Okay, cool." So I looked at pictures of him wearing true behind braces. So I'm like, "Cool. You know, this is cool. This is, I'll use that as the image sort of thing." And then I thought towards the end of my career, it was kind of like quite cool just to round it all up by having a bare knuckle boxing match, and like. They offered me money, good money, more wasn't bad money, it was cash. I'm like, cool, fine, I'll do that. Had a bare knuckle boxing match, and this is, I'm a fighter, but I like to think I'm quite smart, where when I retired from the sport, I retired in a way where I left the sport, not a case where I'm injured. Most people when they retire through injury or they get sacked. I retired because I'm like, I've served my part, and my part is done. My time is done. I've tried to achieve what I wanted to, didn't do it. I'm done. So me to retire from boxing, retire from MMA, and having a fight with someone, people are going to give me trouble in a fight when people in the UFC. They're not doing bare knuckle. Okay, right, could it be boxers? Yeah. Any boxers? Yeah. But they're boxing. They're not doing bare knuckle either. You know, so like, I'm like, especially now, the scene of scene of bare knuckle boxing is so much higher now.
Yeah.
Back in those days, it wasn't. Right, so they offered me a fight, a guy for the British belt. And I'm like, yeah, cool, no worries.
Yeah, right, yeah.
I knocked the guy out in 2 punches, didn't even get punched. And then I'm like, cool, done, thanks. Retired again. So, me done.
Good way to sign off that, isn't it?
I mean, I'm done, I'm cool, I'm fine. You know?
Yeah.
Where after I did that, every Tom, Dick and Harry were offering me out this and that. Oh, fight, yeah, let's fight. I'm like, no.
That's cool. I think this ain't cool about going, nah, I'm done.
No, I wanted to fight some of them.
Oh, you did? Okay.
On the street.
Oh, right, proper, yeah.
How disrespectful they're being. Not like, I wouldn't give you the chance to fight me in the cage.
Right.
Or in the ring, sorry. But I was like, more a case where, like like, for me to fight then was motivated because I'm doing bare knuckle.
Yeah.
Just a challenge.
Like a new challenge, yeah.
Right. It wasn't my opponent, Mark Hadley, but it wasn't him motivating me, but I was motivated by the challenge. Done that. So me to fight again, what am I motivated for? It had to be my opponent. So, and I would have fought again if they were talking about me fighting Iron Lobov. Yep, I'd fight him.
That would have been a cool one, wouldn't it?
I'd fought Iron Lobov. Then never materialised. Cool, don't worry. All these other guys, there's one guy called Curtis Woodhouse, whoever it was offering me out. I'm like, mate, go away.
He was I know who you're talking about. He was the professional footballer gone boxer, right? He was, I think he's British champion.
He failed in 2 sports. He failed at football and he failed at boxing. Right? But he was calling me out like, but this is where I was messaging him like privately. I'm like, mate, tell me where you are. We'll fight you. I'll come and meet you. And he was like, no, let's do it in the ring. I'm like, no. The way you've acted, you've earned yourself a real fight. I'm not giving you a chance to fight me under a rule set. I'm fighting you because like I'm very a proud kind of person, and just the way he did it was so disrespectful. I'm like, fuck you.
Yeah, we're doing it properly.
Yeah, I'm saying. I'm like, tell me where you train. Tell me, I'll come, and we're fighting.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, no, let's do it for money. I'm like, no, I don't. Like I said, I don't care about money.
Yeah.
Like, it's more like you out of that. Yeah. But
well, it's a bad idea, I think, for a boxer to get into a street fight with an MMA fighter, isn't it? It's not a good idea.
No, exactly. That's why he's like, oh yeah, you tell me that. No, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Well, don't talk shit. I'll beat you in a real fight.
There you go.
You know, you want to fight? I'll fight you in a real fight.
Yeah.
You know, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, but it's interesting what you said there about like the disrespectful thing and stuff, because I feel like the fight that's just gone on the weekend, this will be out a bit later, but the Eubank Ben, there was a lot of talk about honour, Warriors Code, all this kind of stuff from Senior, weren't there? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's important, not to sound too
100%.
sort of hippie, but I believe in that,
Like,
you know?
one of my sayings I stick to this day. I never fought because I hated what was in front of me. I fought because I love what was behind me.
Right.
Right? My coaches, my family, my friends, my fans. I fought for them. I was an entertainer. They entertained them, me fighting. So cool, brilliant. I loved it. I would like people, mate, cracking fight. I love watching it. Yeah, that meant so much to me, right? So I fought for them. I didn't give a care who is in front of me. I didn't have to hate my opposition. You know, so if you want to talk trash and be a dick, cool, that's on you.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna fight you. You know, like doesn't matter. You could be. I would say this as well. You could be nice to me, I'm gonna punch you in the face. You could be a dick to me, I'm gonna punch you in the face. You ain't gonna change.
Yeah.
You know. So if you want to be a dick, that's just showing your personality. You know?
Yeah, it's interesting that, isn't it? And with the bare knuckle side of things, because you touched on it a little bit, it's evolved a lot now, and we've had Sinead on here. Shout out Sinead.
Yeah.
I won't butcher your surname because I did already, but like she.
What is it again?
Sinead, I was hoping you'd help me out. Sinead Newland. Newland.
We never butchered it, yeah.
We get there eventually. Shout out Sinead. But she was talking about like the training and stuff like that, because I think, like you said, back in the day when bare knuckles not first started, obviously it's 100 years old, but when it first sort of modernised and became like a thing now, it seemed like people's boxing with just gloves off, right?
You know, yeah, it is. But one thing also, any sort of sport is money oriented, right?
Yeah, right.
So you have to have money in it to attract fighters.
Yeah.
I wouldn't afford that for peanuts.
No.
For nothing. You have to be, not saying I'm money oriented, like I'm not, but it has to be worth my while.
Right.
You know, like, so there's now in bare knuckle boxing, there's good money in it. There's good promotion in it. They're promoting it well, so that attracts better fighters. When the promotion and that looks good, better fighters, athletes will go to it, and that gives you a better product, right? If your product's not good, you have all the glitz and glam, and you have terrible 2 guys swinging windmills, don't know how to fight, then what am I watching? It's like a pub brawl. But then to attract better fighters, you need to pay better money. So, but okay, I can earn good money this, I'll do it. So that's what it is now. Now there's good level fighters now who some of them have had a fighting career. If everything was all parallel, I would have been a much better bare knuckle boxing fighter than I would be MMA.
That's
100%.
interesting. Yeah,
I would have been
okay.
just my style.
Yeah.
I'd have been really good at bare knuckle. Because you also, like, being bare knuckle, you had to be tough. And I was a tough fighter. You know, I didn't care about getting hit. You have to hit to be hit. You know, that kind of thing. Like, you look at someone like, even now, you look at bare knuckle. Venom Page, very high level fighter. Perry, just a tough dude, right?
Yeah.
Who's technically better? Page.
Not even close. Yeah, Michael Page by far.
Page.
Yeah.
You look at the technique and the skill set.
And Rockhold as well, for that matter.
Look at skill set. Different gravy. When someone's cracking you with bare knuckles, he is a different animal.
Yeah.
And that's where an animal like Perry will thrive because he's like that chaos.
Yeah.
He's tough. He can get hit and keep going. You know?
Well, Lobov as well. He was talking about fighting.
Tough.
He beat Paulie Malignaggi, right? Like,
Tough.
He wouldn't have much of a prayer in the world in a boxing match.
No
would he?
way.
Do you know what I mean? It's
Tough.
Yeah, tough,
You know what I mean?
tough as they come.
You have to be tough. It's like, get hit, keep coming. You know, like so Rocky Balboa. It's not about how hard you get. It's how you get hit and keep coming forward.
Yeah.
And that's what you do. You break people. You know.
Yeah.
And now for me as a fighter, I used to love that. Breaking someone mentally is the most rewarding way of winning. Where I've got a lot of submissions on my record. But most of my submissions are someone giving up.
Right.
Take it. Take your neck. You know, like giving up. Let me out here. And any fighters out there watching this, they'll know. Even in training, you feel it when someone's like, I've broken this guy. This guy's like giving up.
Yeah, 100%.
And you see, and for me, that's such an maybe it's like a male ego kind of thing. It's such an empowering thing, making another man give up and break. You know?
Yeah, well, it's interesting, isn't it? Like with the bare knuckle side of things. Well, one thing I think they do really well is 2-minute rounds, isn't it?
Yeah.
So like, you can go for 2 minutes, can't you? I mean,
yeah.
if you're in shape, like 2 minutes versus 3 minutes, you're gonna have
And
to
a minute
sort of
break.
slow it. Yeah.
2 minutes, a minute break. Boom. Let's go again.
Let's go again. Yeah, exactly. And like what you said there about like you almost touched on personality. Like John Danaher spoke about personality and how it dictates or should dictate your. I might be butchering what you said, but you get where I'm coming from. Something about like how your personality should dictate your fighting style. Yeah. And I think there's a lot to that, isn't there? Like,
100%. Yeah.
Because people get caught in style sometimes, don't they? You know, like.
It's a bit, also, some gyms, they see like London shoe fighters, Van Page. You have some of their fighters try and fight like him. Not all like him. You know?
No.
They need to. You take some stuff off it, but you gotta create yourself.
Yeah.
Have your own sort of style. And don't get me wrong. There's some people in here, someone like a Nick Bagley. Of course, my style of fighting really suits his style. I'll show him all my stuff, but I'm not going to show the same stuff to Mehmet Maslak, who's tall. You know, like it varies. Don't get me wrong. Some core things apply. But there's different styles to fighting. That's why that's why MMA is so exciting.
Yeah.
And those styles changes all the time.
The game changes all the time, doesn't it, as well? But do you think like some people get overcoached? Because I think that's a thing too, isn't it? Like they can have almost like their uniqueness, for lack of a better word, coached out of them.
Yep, 100%. You know, some people are just good at fighting. You know,
That's
just naturally good at fighting. Sometimes, don't get me wrong, like I say, there's fundamentals and there's core things, what you do's and you don'ts and stuff like that. And there's some people like an Alfie Davis. I'm not going to tell him to stop doing certain things.
Yeah.
I let him know the risks of him, give him a few little key, boom, go out there. You're one of the best fighters in the world. Do some flashy stuff. You know, like do it and elaborate. You know.
Yeah. Fresh off a spinning elbow knockout.
Yeah, exactly. You do that. You know, like.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's him and he's creative. You know, I would not want to change that. I could try and add to that, add little things here and there, little things that can help his game out. But I'm not going to change it, you know.
Yeah, that's interesting because with MMA training, it's kind of, I mean, it's not a standard. There's not a standard like there is to boxing. Is what I'm trying to say, is there? Do you know what I mean? Like everyone's got different ideas.
But there's not so many different styles in boxing.
Right.
This is why MMA is so good because you get a short, stocky guy, you get a tall, slim guy. You know, you have different body types. You have the grapplers. You're good. You have a short, stocky wrestler grappler. Then you have a tall, skinny Jiu Jitsu grappler. You have so many different types of grappling, you know, and you have different types of the rangy, long. There's so many different types as well.
Yeah, that's interesting because obviously like the rule set's pretty standardised in MMA as well, whereas grappling like is all over the place. Right. It is very limited.
You can do whatever you want, apart from kick to the groin and headbutt.
Yeah, no hour guide, no biting, and you're pretty good after that, ain't you?
Apart from that, like in boxing, you only get hit with some, especially amateur boxing, you only hit with certain parts of your glove. You know, you can't hit below the waist.
Yep.
You can't kick. You can't elbow. You can't do a lot of things.
Can't even put your head too low, yeah.
Can't take someone down. So then you add other things. Like in judo, you can take someone down, you can't punch them on the floor. You know, in Jiu Jitsu, you can take someone down, you can submit them, you can't elbow them.
Yeah.
It's so different. This is why MMA, for me, is one of the hardest sports to do and one of the most exciting to watch.
Yeah, because it's almost like with boxing, you can almost, I mean, you'll never master it, but you can get to a pretty close to mastery level, can't you? Whereas MMA, it's like, there's styles involved, isn't it?
Also, that's for me, that's what I said to you, where I got into MMA, because I boxed for a few years. I've done a few amateur fights, and then I left boxing because of my knee. Then went back into boxing. I kind of found the same old. You know, a jab's a jab, a cross is a cross. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot more to it than that. But I was like, what? That's a rear naked. What's a rear naked choke? Well, what's that? An arm triangle. What's that? An arm bar. What? I'm like, okay, whoa, slow down. It was just fun to learn new stuff. I'm like, man, this is crazy. What? Someone could choke someone out with their arms? What? You can do it with your legs as well. What are you on about?
Yeah.
I found it so like, man, this is cool. I need to learn this shit, you know?
Yeah.
And where boxing was just boxing. Boxing's been around for years.
Yeah, it's quite stuck in a way as well, because my background was boxing too. And when I started grappling, like coaches were like, you know, sucking their teeth at me. Like, what are you doing?
Just gay.
Yeah, exactly. That was it.
And also, a lot different now, but even when I was doing it, all the boxing, you hug, rap and stuff. I'm like, mate, any of these guys will batter you.
Well, that wouldn't work. I'd just knock you out was the common theme.
No, okay, you're right.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not a professional boxer, but my hands are okay enough.
Yeah.
And I reckon I can knock you out and take you down, lift you back up and knock you out as well, because it's different. When I'm trying to take you down, you're thinking about other things.
Yeah.
I'm doing this to take you down, boom, I can come back up, I throw hard. It's different style. And also, I think people going into bare knuckle boxing, it's more suited for an MMA fighter, because we're used to fighting with such small gloves, than it is a boxer who's used to shoulder rolling and using a massive glove, getting hit by a glove. Much easier.
Well, it's funny you say that. Like I've seen Thai boxing, like for pure Thai boxing rules. I was at a one championship event as well, and it's Thai boxing but with the small gloves, and it's different, man. Like it's a big difference.
100% different.
Yeah. The way they move, everything, they're more bouncy. It's strange.
You have to rely more on movement than you would do just standing still.
Right.
Because like if I just do this, stand still, a glove's still going to fit through there.
Yeah.
A glove is actually a small MMA glove is getting around there.
Right.
A glove. You're wearing a glove, it's not getting past that.
No.
A fist can.
Yeah.
A fist can
absolutely.
So actually, you have to rely a lot more, boom, head movement, slipping, rolling, and getting out of way of shots than you would just blocking. You know?
Yeah, I'll tell you what would be interesting to hear your opinion on is like some people like to train specific, like overly specific for MMA. It's not overly specific, they're fighting an MMA fight, but like very specific for MMA. Whereas a lot of guys I speak to also, they seem to like to train boxing for boxing's sake, wrestling for wrestling's sake, and put it together and then closer to a camp get more MMA based. What's your views on that sort of stuff?
Each to their own.
Is it simple as that? Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I like to do things way more MMA oriented.
Yeah.
Because I'm not just a boxer, but I went worked with high level boxing coaches.
Right.
To work and box, boom. Get me from my right crossbar. And then like if they want me to throw something out, they want me to stand sideways, I'll be like, okay, I get that, but I can't really do this for MMA. But why is that? Because I get kicked and taken down. So I need to, okay, you stand really tall. No, I can't stand tall. I need to have a bit of a wider base. Okay, cool. So I work with them. And if they want to work with me, they'll listen to what I'm saying and go, okay, cool. That's what a good coach would do. Just adapt. You go, okay, right, yeah, cool. Understand, right, yeah, no. Now we'll work. They can work with what they got, you know.
But again, that's quite new age, isn't it, for boxing coaches? Not that I'm shitting on boxing coaches, I love boxing, but as I say, back in the day, there was a little bit like, no, just do it the way I say it. And you go, yeah, but no, just do it the way I say it.
That's the thing, that's why you're not evolving. It's
right.
You're not evolving, you know. Like, a good coach, like for me, I by far do not know everything. What's that? No, it's none of that. But what's that? Okay,
I'm sorry, I thought it was the dog. I could hear some rattling.
Show me that again. Like, oh, cool. It's developing all the time. It develops all the time. Especially like this new thing. And I say new things coming out all the time. So you always, if you don't stay like someone like me and Ash on the mats and that, it will go. You know, like the old school back in the day, hoist Gracie rear naked choke. That's bomb. You're not anymore. You got to be like that. You do this. Some push the hand down. It's easy. It's like it keeps on evolving, you know, always gets better. If you just stick to the past, you get left behind.
That's interesting. And what do you think about like rules of MMA, like with rounds and stuff like that? Because I've heard Joe Rogan talk a lot about like how they should be reset in the same position, which I completely disagree with, to be honest with you. But it'd be interesting to see what you say. Like, obviously, you're around it every day.
It's hard, man. It's hard. It's like back in the day, it should be. If you want to be real prehistoric, no rule set. Limited rule set, and it should be. No time limit. Whoever wins.
That's interesting.
But then it's not entertaining.
No, but no, definitely not.
It can be very entertaining, but then also it cannot be entertaining.
If it goes past sort of the 7-minute mark, it could be boring.
It's an American sport. You've got to make it a sport.
Yeah.
to make it a sport, you need to make spectators want to watch it. If you had two guys, no limit, people just grabbing. But realistically, for a fight fan, two fighters, go on, just see who wins.
Yeah.
Makhachev versus Khabib, right? Habib, sorry, not Khabib. Habib Makhachev. Okay, get in the cage. No time, man. Who's gonna win? So look.
Yeah.
Not like he nearly had a bet in that round. Now he's got started getting no. You work your way back up.
Yeah.
You work. That's for a pure fighter.
Yeah.
But it's not entertaining.
No.
Every American sport is governed by commercials, right? So it needs to be breaks. Right? It has to be breaks. Like that's why in American football, break, basketball, break, timeout. Commercial based,
Yeah, and it's interesting. Well, also you wouldn't have many fights in your career if you kept doing unlimited ones and you're fighting for 3 hours, right? That's going to weigh you down pretty.
Depends how good you are.
Huh?
Depends how good you are.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. Yeah, it's a good point. It's a good point.
You have a very quick career, career as well.
That's true. That's well, I guess a realistic way.
Then you can just say in that way you can say, what if I'm a guy who's really good at taking me down, holding him down, but you keep standing me up? Why?
Yeah. No, it's true.
Let me just lay on you too.
It's true. It's true. Well, I guess the argument on that, and it would be like if me and you were boxing or striking in MMA, and I run away the whole time. If I can't do that and I just hold you down and lay on top and try and avoid the fight that way, it's similar in it, but different. Do you know what I mean? It's boring, exactly. You're avoiding the fight.
That's why trying to make it.
You got
That's why in Japan, if someone's not being active, they give you a yellow card.
That's it, and they scored the later rounds heavier, didn't they, as well? Do you know what I mean? But I feel like one realistic way you could do it is get rid of rounds, like just have a 15-minute fight. Would you be game for that?
I like the Pride rules we used to do. Was first round's 10 minutes.
10, yeah.
And 10 minutes, and then next one's 5 minutes. And then don't score it per round. This guy's 2 rounds up. No, they score it per fight. Because this is the thing with the 10-point must system. Sometimes you could have, me and you, right, could have a really close first round. But you just nicked it.
Yeah.
Second round, fucking another really razor close round. You just nicked it though. Give it to that guy. Third round, I battered you, but it wasn't enough to be a 10-8. They do scoring more 10-8s now than they used to. They never scored any 10-8s back in there. No. But I battered you. Boom! You rocked, you dropped, you're surviving like that. But that was the rounds you edged it out. Boom, fight. 29, 28. What are you on about? Yeah. This guy would have died if he had another round.
Yeah, right.
So this is where you score the whole fight. I think that's better.
I agree with that. I like that because I think one championship do that, don't they? I think one do that, and I agree with that.
You score the fight. Who do you think won that fight?
Yeah.
Okay. That guy won the first round. That guy won the second round. The third round was close. But that guy won the first round, more dominant than that second round.
Would you score it more simple as well in terms of like me and you watch a fight? If me and you watch two blokes fight for 15 minutes, 3 rounds, whatever it is. We got a good idea of who won, right? Yeah. Do you feel like we don't need to overcomplicate 10-9 this, point system? He won, end of story.
But they do sometimes because like sometimes I go watch a fight, I go, don't know.
Right.
No, that's close. There was no crazy moment. It wasn't like someone taking someone.
Do you
down
just go draw though? Just draw. Close enough. It's a draw. More draws.
Or sudden death.
If you don't
do that,
sudden death's a good one.
Okay, right. Okay, no.
Oh.
Boom, stop. One more round, sudden death. Whoever wins this round wins the fight.
That's good, isn't it?
Okay, right, fucking let's go.
What if that one's a draw as well? Just a draw, flat out draw. Then it's a draw. You don't go another.
But you ain't going to feel that if you know it's one more round.
You're going to go. You're going to try it.
You're going to try and win that round.
Yeah, that's an interesting point because I like that. I think we overcomplicate things with points. Or not we overcomplicate, but there's a lot of ideas on how to overcomplicate, isn't there? You know what I mean?
Also, I think the judging changes too much. And one thing, no one knows what the judge for. What are they looking for? Is it obstacle control, damage?
Yeah.
What are they scoring on?
Yeah.
It changes all the time. It's like, okay, right. Now, if I take you down and control you and don't do no damage, that's not scoring. Okay, right, okay, fine. So I take you and do damage, but you take me down. It's like, So,
some people try and blind you with stats as well, don't they? They go, well, he landed 600 shots and he only landed 300. He took 2 takedowns, and it's like, whoa, but that's not how fight scored, is it? We watched the fight, you know what I mean?
You see.
Yeah, but I could rant about that all day, and I have on here multiple times, so we'll leave that. But what's life like now, mate? Like, obviously, you're a full-time coach here, and you're very heavily involved.
No, it's good. So me and now I still compete today just for my athletes, Yeah, it's fun. It's good.
Yeah.
I never thought I'd have. I like to think I would, but Like, I have a great fight team, great fighters. Some of them have been with me for a long, long time. And some new ones coming through. Yeah, it's exciting. You know, it's nice. This is my own place. Just 10 minutes down the road. You know, like, yeah, I'm proud of what I've achieved. You know.
That's good. And are you done competing yourself, or?
No, I mean, like, I always like to compete. You know, like, maybe I could do a Polaris later this year. There's talks about me doing it in September. If my body gets me there, you know,
yeah,
like,
I got
I'm
you.
not stupid. Like, I will try and train, but then every time I try and train, and my body swears nope. So yeah, so I have loads of little niggling injuries. If I could get myself there, I'll do it.
Yeah, and mate, this has been brilliant. I really appreciate
Thank
you, man.
you so much.
No, I appreciate your time. I always ask the most important question before we finish, and I've heard a rumour. You might give me a really bad answer for this one, but what football team do you support?
It's not a rumour. It's true. It's probably the most underachieving, right? Well, the team that you every year you're like, this is it, and never. Full of promises. This year, probably the worst season. It is the worst season we've had in 20 years. Ange, now you know it's Spurs. Ange has lost more games this season than Poch did in 3 seasons. It's been an absolute shambles. But weirdly enough, we can still win a cup, but we're not going to. But win Europa Cup, Europa Cup, sorry. We could win that, and then everyone will forget how shit we've been this year. But no, we have been dog shit. It's embarrassing.
Well, if anyone's listening, that is the wrong answer, but never mind, we'll come back to it another time.
support?
Chelsea, man, come on. What area are we in? Come on, this is a Chelsea area, no?
No.
No, where are you from originally?
East London.
East London, which part?
I was born in Whitechapel.
Okay, well, you should be one of them boys, shouldn't you, as well?
But I had family who played for Spurs.
Oh, I got you. Played for Spurs. All right, that's another story. That's for episode 2. Yeah. But Brad, I really appreciate you, mate. This has been brilliant. I always finish with a fist up like this, mate. Squeeze this way. We'll do it this way for special one with Brad. Squeeze the neck. Boom!
Boom!